Once I came home and saw what had happened, I screamed. All the furniture is gone, and the bed, which was very expensive. I'm a good judge of a character, aren't I? I felt my blood boil when I saw my mother-in-law, Lisa, smile as she said that. Lisa, did you perhaps...
Yes, I had to have it removed because I wanted to use them in my house. Well, I had no choice but to do this. I hate the fact that you, a part-time wife, are a parasite living off of my son and living in such a nice luxury apartment. My son is the only reason that you are able to live here. So, don't you dare disobey me as I am his mother. I will make him divorce you if you get too annoying. Always remember that. Hearing this, I said this to Lisa, who was mocking me, while trembling. What have you done? What?
This is not my house. All the furniture is not mine either.
Huh?
My name is Jane. Mark and I have been dating since we met in the tennis club, which we belonged to when we were students. He had always been that kind of person who loves to live large amongst the class compared to those around him, and he often gave me gifts in which I told him that I wanted it casually, on ordinary days that were not even my birthday.
I just wanted to see your happy face, Jane, so that's why I bought it for you.
Seeing him smile and say something like that made me like him even more. We graduated from college and got married. We were the first among our friends to have a wedding, and it was celebrated with all of our friends, and I was having the happiest time of my life. Mark and I had been working for a company, but he had asked me if I would quit my job when we got married.
As your husband, I want to work and support you, Jane. And I want you, Jane, to take care of the house. And when I come back home, I want you to welcome me back home.
Thinking about nowadays, I thought that his idea might be old-fashioned, but I didn't mind being a full-time housewife either. Besides, when I first got married, I had yearned for that kind of typical new wife life. So, I decided to quit my job. I enjoyed waiting for Mark's return while doing household chores, such as cleaning and doing laundry every day. But no matter how serious I was about cleaning, given the size of the apartment, I still had a lot of free time on my hands. The two of us now live in a normal-sized rental apartment. Mark, who likes to live large, was not that happy about it. But I asked him to respect my opinion that if he was the only one who was going to work, I didn't want us to spend too much money, so we chose the apartment which we live in now. For Mark, who has always worn nice clothes and watches, this apartment might be a little small for him. But I really liked it because it was our first apartment together, even though it was small. One day, Mark came home from work as usual, and we were having dinner together when he suddenly showed me an ad for an apartment. It showed a room in a luxury apartment in a well-known neighborhood, and the rent was almost 10 times what it was now. Looking at the photos, it certainly must be worth it, but as expected, paying this kind of rent would leave me with no money to eat the dinner like I was able to eat today.
I think that this is a very nice room. It must be depressing to live in such a small apartment like we are right now. Let's move out.
I do understand your feelings, but the rent is too high. I like our apartment, where we live currently, very much.
This room may be just the right size for a storage, but it's certainly not the size for people to live in. Don't worry about money, okay? Just leave it to me.
However small it may be, I think it's still much bigger than a storage room. Mark's sense of money and usage of money is a little out of line with mine. I have felt this since I was dating him, so it's not something I found out just now. Mark had bowed his head and said that he really wanted to move out, so I really had no choice but to nod. All right, if you insist on it so much, then let's move. Thanks for adjusting to live in this apartment for me until now. But I also want to help you with money, so can I start working part-time? I'll work shifts so that I can make dinner by the time you get home, Mark, and besides, I'm bored just staying at home, okay? No matter how well off he is, with the salary at the company Mark is working for now, I don't think he'd be able to even cover up for the rent. I'm sure he has some other source of income, but I'm still worried. Then, Mark, who allowed me to work part-time right away, called the real estate agency and proceeded to sign the contract instantly, even though we were still eating. So, we finished the contract with the apartment we were living in and moved into the new apartment at the end of the month. We moved everything we had in the previous apartment so far, but we still had a few rooms available. At first, I was intimidated by the expensive rent price, but my eyes lit up at the size and comfort of the room, and I was excited about my future life. A little later, my mother-in-law Lisa, who lived far away, came over for a visit. I didn't really like Lisa very much. Right after our engagement, Lisa had always been cold towards me. I wonder she's like that because her only son was taken away from her. On the day she came over for a visit, Lisa, who has always been stingy with me over trivial things, was still looking at me as if I was her enemy.
You've just moved into a nice apartment, but the way you clean up is not good at all. In fact, it's pretty messy around here. I know you've only lived in a small apartment before, but I feel sorry for my son with such a messy room. You are his wife, but you can't even clean around the room properly?
Just like those mother-in-laws in a TV drama, she traced her fingers on the window sashes to check for dust, and snuck into the kitchen to look at inside of the fridge as if it was her own apartment.
Oh, by the way, I heard you started working a part-time job. My son told me. I heard that you're working many hours a day for only a few $100s. It seems like you're wasting a lot of time. What are you even thinking? I can't really understand you. Why don't you go to a beauty salon and try to be beautiful for your husband? You are so strange, aren't you?
Oh, so this was where Mark's financial sense was inherited from. It was from his parents. Of course, if I had money, I would have already went to a beauty salon and also bought a lot of cute clothes. But I can't depend on Mark's salary forever. And I want to spend my own money on my own luxuries. I could only smile fondly at Lisa's words, since she and I couldn't really understand each other. When I talked to Mark about it, he just laughed and played along, but he wasn't really on my side. Little by little, my frustration kept on building up in my heart. Then, Lisa came to visit me at the apartment many times and repeatedly bullied me, and kept on boasting about how financially well off she was compared to us. At first, it was funny to see how she kept on coming over after when we had moved to a better apartment, when she didn't come over to visit us at our previous apartment at all. But I couldn't really stand her anymore since she came over so frequently. When I told Lisa that she had been coming here too often recently, she turned red and screamed.
I'm Mark's mother, you know. And this is Mark's apartment. Then, there's nothing strange about me being here, is there? It's rather strange for a poor person like you to be here. I passed by your neighbor a while ago, and she was a very nice and classy lady. Unlike you, of course. I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that someone like you was my son's wife, not a wife like her. Lisa's sermon continued into the night and finally ended when Mark returned home. I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't even have any time to prepare dinner, so can you order something? I'm going outside to take a little break for a while.
Huh? No dinner? What have you been doing this whole day today? Mom came here because she was worried about you, Jane, so you should be taking care of her.
I'm going to spend the night out today. There was a cheap and comfortable hotel in the neighborhood. Mark saw my exhausted face but showed no signs of worry. And Lisa only uses me to relieve her own exasperation until the sun goes down. I had no place to rest my mind and heart. Mark, without paying any attention to me, started talking with Lisa about ordering food. And with that, I ran out of the house. The next day, at around noon, I came back home. When I looked at the front door, Mark and Lisa's shoes were gone. It seems like Lisa had gone home. I was prepared to hear Lisa's sarcastic voice again. So, I was a little relieved, but I couldn't believe my eyes when I went straight into the bedroom. The bed that had been in the bedroom was gone. I thought that a thief had stole it, but nothing else had been taken, and no one would steal that much, no matter how expensive the bed was. I decided to call Lisa and ask her about the bed. Lisa seemed unconcerned and said that she had taken it home with her.
What? You have something to say about that? For someone like you, that bed was too luxurious for your taste, right? So that's why I got it. It was still clean too anyways. You can look forward on using the second-hand mattress that I'm going to give to you later on. It's a little torn, but I think it's just right for you.
Lisa was smiling at me on the other end of the phone, and I lost my patience. To Lisa, who has been looking down on me forever and ever, I replied with a big smile saying this. Oh, I don't need it. Why don't you dispose of that garbage by yourself? Besides, you took someone else's property without any permission, and you didn't even apologize.
What? You're being so arrogant and cocky. You've always had a habit of looking down on people like that, haven't you? That's why people hate you. Don't you get told often that you're miserable?
Say as much as you want, but I'll have my bed back soon.
As I've been saying, your things belong to Mark. As long as Mark doesn't say no, I'm free to use them whenever I want to.
That bed is not ours, Lisa. At my words, Lisa was silent for a moment.
What do you mean?
I decided to tell her the whole truth, as Lisa sounded very confused. I am divorcing Mark.
Oh, really? I guess you finally know your place then.
So, all my furniture has been moved to a new place and is not in this apartment. That bed is from a company that rents them out.
It's rented? You rented a luxurious bed for such a temporary thing? You lousy woman, squeezing Mark's money out of him until the very end.
No, it was Mark who chose that bed. He is a man who really liked to look good to others. I'll tell her all the truth about Mark before I say my goodbye. I decided to tell Lisa about Mark's side that she didn't even know about. Mark had money since he was a college student, but that was easy money that he had collected by borrowing money from his classmates and friends. He wasn't rich at all, but just a fool who spent money without thinking. It's true that his parents were rich, but that didn't matter when he graduated college and started to earn his own money. Mark's current salary that he gets from work is probably less than half of what he pays in rent now. He still borrowed money from his friends and secretly went to casinos to gamble and earn money. Even so, his spending spree continued to grow as he attracted attention by having a more lavish wedding than anyone else and moving into a more luxurious apartment. With his desire to only look good around others, he even went to the trouble of ordering a luxury bed from a furniture rental company. In the end, Mark was just a pathetic man who wanted to be just rich. The reason he made me quit my job and be a housewife was also for the sake of opinions from other people. Yesterday, you told me, Lisa, remember? That the neighbor's wife was a wonderful person. Well, that's what Mark said to me last month too. He said, you should be like her too. And he also said, if you aren't like her, I would look bad too. He said this with a kind smile, just like when he used to give me presents. So that day, I showed the divorce papers to Mark. I was really at the end of my patience. You have done a lot for me, Lisa. Please be prepared for that bed. It's quite expensive. I will contact the management company, so I'm sure they will contact you soon, okay?
What? Wait! Isn't it your fault for not explaining? Come and get it at my place right away. This is an order. You should at least listen to your own husband's mother.
I am divorcing Mark, so you are no longer my husband's mother, Lisa. You're nothing but a stranger to me. I told Lisa once and for all and let out a small breath. Also, if you still want to visit this apartment, you'd better do it soon. I have reported Mark's large debt to the real estate company, so it may be seized by the company soon. If he does get evicted, I hope he can at least rent a room with a bathroom. At my words, Lisa dropped her cell phone without a word. Without waiting for an answer, I hung up and set the phone to block her calls. Good. I guess that's the last of the cleanup before the divorce. I left Mark's apartment that day. Later, I heard that Mark was kicked out of that room. I heard that until the very end, he had been fussing that he was well paid and would soon finish paying off his debts, but he was evicted instantly. The company kindly introduced another room for a very low price for him, but it was about half the size of the first apartment that we lived in. The friends he used to borrow money from have kept their distance away from him, and the only thing weighing on him is the bill for repayment to his friends. As for the bed, there seemed to be some scratches and torn pieces of fabric when Lisa took it out without permission, so they had to buy the bed in the end. I think the total cost was less than $10,000, but it wasn't a price that could be prepared easily. And even Lisa, who was very fond of her son, had grown apart from Mark since then. Mark apparently told Lisa that he worked for a very prestigious company and was well paid. Mark was sending his parents several $100,000 every month, all of which he gathered through gambling or borrowing money. When Lisa found out about this, she apparently realized the unusual nature of Mark's personality about showing off and his bad habit about the usage of money, so she distanced herself from him. Now, I think I can have a little fun conversation with Lisa, but I never want to hear that voice again. Mark will probably lead a lonely life in a small room by himself, abandoned by his parents and his friends. I was alone in the small room I had moved into and stroked the small cactus I had placed by the window. I have no money now because I only work part-time, but I will start working again and save up some money. I didn't have to look good, and I would be able to live a full life with myself. I was relieved to know that I had my own freedom and that I could live with a cactus in my room, even if it wasn't a luxury apartment. I'm still glad that I took action, even though a lot had happened in a few days. I think I will get some delivery today. It's a bit of a luxury, but oh well. Such a small luxury is what true happiness is all about. With this in mind, I was excited to choose which delivery to order.